Welcome to Angel Wings Productions.
Book of Enoch Chapter 4 Book of Enoch. They consider and behold every tree, how it appears to wither, and every leaf to fall off, except of 14 trees, which are not deciduous, which wait from the old to the appearance of the new leaf for 2 or 3 winters.
The Book of Enoch, Chapter 4, Deep Dive Q&A. Overview questions. What is the main focus of Enoch Chapter 4? It focuses on divine judgment and the contrast between the righteous and the wicked. It emphasizes how all of creation follows God's ordained order, while humanity, particularly the wicked, rebels against divine law. This chapter serves as a transition from Enoch's opening vision to the core narrative about the Watchers. What literary genre does this chapter represent? It functions as prophetic apocalyptic literature, employing cosmic observation and moral exhortation. It uses nature as a witness against human wickedness, a common biblical prophetic technique. Textual and thematic questions. What is the significance of the cosmological observations in this chapter? It outlines that all the heavenly bodies, sun, moon, stars, never deviate from their appointed courses. This serves as a contrast to highlight humanity's moral disorder. The created order obeys God perfectly, but humans, especially the wicked, do not. This creates a shaming argument. Even inanimate creation is more faithful than rebellious humanity. How does chapter 4 address the fate of the righteous versus the wicked? The chapter promises that the righteous will have peace and divine favor, while the wicked face condemnation. Importantly, it suggests that even the righteous who have died will live or rise and experience joy, which is significant for understanding early Jewish resurrection theology. What does "all the works of heaven do not transgress their appointed order" mean theologically? This phrase establishes God's sovereignty over creation and the reliability of natural law. It implies that cosmic order reflects divine will, and that rebellion against this order, as the Watchers and wicked humans do, is unnatural and deserving of judgment. Interpretive questions. How does this chapter connect to the broader narrative of 1 Enoch? Chapter 4 sets up the moral framework for judging the Watchers, fallen angels, whose story dominate the Book of the Watchers, chapters 6 to 16. If even stars obey God, how much more egregious is the rebellion of the Watchers, who abandon their heavenly positions? What does the significance of addressing "you sinners" directly? This direct address creates rhetorical immediacy and serves as prophetic warning. It assumes that the wicked will hear or read this text, giving them opportunity to repent. This also suggests the text was used as moral instruction in the community that preserved it. How does this chapter's view of natural order compare to biblical wisdom literature? It shares similarities with Job 38 through 41, Psalm 19, and Proverbs 8, where creation testifies to God's wisdom and order. However, Enoch uses this more explicitly as a judgment oracle against the wicked, rather than simply celebrating divine wisdom. Historical and cultural questions. Why was this text important to Second Temple Judaism? During the Second Temple period, 516 BCE to 70 CE, Jews struggled with questions about theodicy, why the righteous suffer while the wicked prosper. Chapter 4's promise of vindication for the righteous and judgment for the wicked addressed these concerns and offered hope during periods of persecution. How did early Christians interpret this chapter? Early Christians, particularly those who preserved Enoch, like the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, read this as prefiguring final judgment and resurrection. The promise that the righteous dead would live and rise, aligned with Christian resurrection theology. What manuscripts preserve Chapter 4? Chapter 4 is found in Aramaic fragments from Qumran, Dead Sea Scrolls, Greek manuscripts, and complete Ethiopic, Ge'ez versions. The Aramaic fragments confirm the text's antiquity and Jewish origins. Theological and philosophical questions. What does this chapter teach about divine justice? It presents a strong retributive justice framework. The righteous receive peace and life, while the wicked face judgment. However, it's not purely individualistic. There's a cosmic dimension where all creation participates in God's moral order. How does this chapter address the problem of evil? While brief, it acknowledges that wickedness exists and prospers temporarily, but insists this is anomalous and will be corrected. The natural order's obedience serves as evidence that disorder and evil are not ultimate realities. What is the resurrection theology implied in this chapter? The statement that the righteous who have died will live and rise suggests bodily resurrection, or at minimum, spiritual vindication after death, concepts still developing in Second Temple Judaism and important to later Christian theology.
While brief, it acknowledges that wickedness exists and prospers temporarily, but insists this is anomalous and will be corrected. The natural order's obedience serves as evidence that disorder and evil are not ultimate realities. The statement that the righteous who have died will live and rise suggests bodily resurrection, or at minimum, spiritual vindication after death. Concept still developing in Second Temple Judaism and important to later Christian theology.